Welcome to Heart, Navigating Lipedema Together. I'm Lisa Dury. I'm here with the fabulous Dr. Catherine Seo. It's good to be back, Catherine. I was out last week. I'm so excited about today. What are you looking forward to today?
Oh my goodness. Well, first of all, hi everyone. I'm so glad Lisa's back. And with Lisa being back, we're having Nina Manolson part 2.
Whoop
If
whoop,
you
part
if,
two.
if you weren't here last week, you got to pick up. We went into a really lovely conversation about how do we learn to have a relationship with our bodies that is kind and loving and accepting and has compassion. Nina is a body peace. She calls herself a coach, but she's much more than that. She really has developed a whole approach that is so kind and loving. And I'm going to bring her up. And I know you guys have met previously, so
So
welcome.
lovely to be here. Thank you so much. So great to be here.
Well,
Nina's in the house.
I felt we had barely scratched the surface after we talked for 40 minutes last week. Um, oh, great. Truth Seeker says, I came to the right discussion. This is the right discussion. You know, we were talking before we went live, and Oprah, who is one of my heroes, heroine. I love her like as does everybody, or mostly everybody. But anyway, she said at one point that she had achieved everything that she had wanted. You know, she's umpteen Emmys, all these awards and, acclaim from everywhere. And her own ability to stand for the truth. And there was only one area in her life that she could never master, and it had to do with her body and the struggle that she had with her weight all those years. And I know, and now that she's on Ozempic or whatever she's on the semaglutides, you know, you can see she's happy with it. But that was the one thing that she couldn't, no matter how much success. And I thought that would be a good place to start today, since we have so many women who say very similarly.
Mhm. So it's interesting that you say, one of the things you said is the one thing she couldn't master, right? And that is fundamentally the approach that our culture gives us, is that this idea that we are supposed to master our relationship with our body. We are supposed to master our relationship with food. And implicit in that word is a sense of control and management. And who wants to be controlled and managed? Fundamentally, that's not a relationship that's very fun. We don't want to have a master. We don't want to be enslaved to this one way of being in our body and this one way of eating that's just like so strict, because we all know that when we're in that lane of restriction on one end of that spectrum of tightness, what's going to happen? Swing, and we're going to be in rebellion, right? So to fundamentally shift the relationship with our food and body means absolutely changing the goal of mastery into how do I be in a practice of support, a practice of care, a practice of nourishment, a practice of compassion, right? I always say body peace, the work that I do, is not a destination, it's a practice. It's a way of being in relationship, just like the way that we're in relationship with a kid or a parent or a friend.
And there are ups and downs and ins and outs and good days and bad days. And that's something I think, Nina, since we've been chatting more, that I'm more aware of. How does this land with you, Lisa? What are the questions or things that come to the surface for you around this?
So this is it. This is it, right? This is it. So first I'll say Mary and Tina, Karen, Julie, Truth Seeker, we're so glad you're here. My eye is watering, and I think it's because I put my makeup on really fast this morning. And I was like so worried about what would people think and how will I look and are they going to think I'm crying because I cry and all these things that we just worry about. So I'm just going to own it. My eye is watering, and I'm so glad to be here. And the thing that is interesting for me last week. So last week I traveled in person. I drove to my client at their offsite in Idaho, and I was thinking about all the things we talk about with work, like what do I wear, how much walking, how far is my room from the hotel, is there parking, am I going to be sweaty by the time I get there? All the things that I worry about as I show up as a corporate executive facilitator, right? And this time, for whatever reason, I emailed the client, and I want to read it to you because I think this is about what Nina's talking about, body peace. So instead of mastering my body, I wanted to work with my body. And here's what I said. Hi, blank. Thank you for everything you've done to make my time comfortable and productive. I appreciate it. You may recall I'm living with lipedema. The truth is that lipedema causes pain. Walking long distances and standing for more than 10 to 15 minutes can sometimes be painful for me. Because of this, I'd like to know specific details ahead of time to anticipate logistics and plan for the level of effort. 2 questions to help me plan are below. I appreciate the insight when you can share it with me. Thank you. The first one says, can you tell me the distance between my sleeping room and our meeting room? And the second is, can you tell me about the dinner plan, specifically the distance from the hotel and if walking is involved? I only need this information if you guys want me to join dinner. If not, no insight is needed. Thank you for your support. And I was like, right? What are they going to think? What's going to happen? Oh my gosh, it's all out there now. I can't hide. I'm not going to hide. But you know what? My body was like, thank you for asking. Thank you for asking. And then this is what she said back. And this is when I cried. Lisa, I'm so excited. I've checked you in already. You're staying in our suite, which is the meeting room. It's about 25 feet from the elevator, a large bedroom with a walk-in shower. You have assigned parking right outside the door to the elevator. I have a rental car. I will drive you to dinner. Please consider me your private assistant while you're here. Drive safe.
So, Lisa, I want to reflect back a couple of things that happened in there, right? First, you allied with your body, right? You didn't get into management mode, like, okay. And you also didn't get into fight or flight about it. Okay, this is going to be really hard. How am I going to do it? I got to push. This is going to be exhausting, right? And then all that does is make us feel worse about the special needs that our body has. So there's a way that you allied, you supported, you advocated for, you stood by your body. That was just so eloquent and so gracious towards yourself and generous to yourself. And then what was even better is that she responded back with allyship, with generosity. Right? That's real relationship between humans and between you and your own body.
Yeah. And Nina, I'll say that one of the things that I've learned so much from Catherine and Lipedema Simplified and Lipedema Project and all of the lipedema community is how much we don't join with our body and how much we resist our body or make it othered. Or I mean, I used to live from my neck up, right? And through all the work we've been doing for the last 2.5 years, I really was, I need to ask this question. I don't want all this running in the back of my head on my 6-hour drive. I don't want all this anxiety. I don't want it. I want to be present for my client. And when I was telling my sister about this, because she was like, I'm worried about you. It's a long drive. Are you stretching? What are you doing for your lymphatics? And I told her what had happened. And she was like, oh my gosh, there's angels around. Like, what happens when we ask for what we need in a way that doesn't make anybody wrong? It was just as simple. It hurts. And this is what I'd like to know. And I thought, all these years, Nina and Catherine, I have been like, don't tell anybody it hurts. Act like everything's fine. Push through, right? I wear a neck fan because I get hot. And I used to just be like, what did people think with my neck fan? And I'm in menopause. I'm like, you know what? I'm hot. I have a neck fan. Like, so there's this journey that I've been on at, I'm 56 now, to start to realize that if I don't love my body, no one else is going to. And if I don't care for her, no one else is going to. And so I just love that this is our conversation right on the heels of what for me was a life giving experience with our clients, and it wasn't about the pain. And the other thing I'll say too is they said business casual.
Mm-hmm.
What woman wants to hear business casual? I'm just telling you right now. Tell me it's fancy or tell me it's, So I decided to bring more clothes than I needed. And I was really glad I did, because on that drive, as I started to talk to my body and, okay, how do we want to show up? Who do we want to be? I was able to pick an outfit and I had choice rather than just staying in a lane. And that felt really good too.
Yeah. That piece around choice, whether it's clothes, whether it's food, whether it's, transportation, however it is, being able to say, okay, dear body, what would work best for you?
Mm-hmm.
Because we're innately tuned in, if someone says this is the way it is, to either try to comply or to run the other way, right? It's the polarity idea.
Yep.
And when we give ourselves choice, then, suddenly I have creativity. Suddenly I have a sense of delight of what do I want? And that is right. And what would nourish me? And those questions, what do I want? What would nourish me? What would support me best? Right? That's the kind of relationship that we truly want to have with our body, is that sense of inquiry, questioning, right? Catherine, last week you and I did Hello Body, right? Coming in to connection with our body. Hello Body, just starting the conversation, because we want to have a dialogue, because our bodies in our culture, especially as women, and if we have any kind of chronic or acute issue, is here's the body and the world is telling us how to be and what to do and what you should have done and what you didn't do and what, right? It's very aggressive and very sort of one-sided conversation talking at our body. And what you did was, let me talk for my body and have a conversation on this drive. What do I want to wear? How do I want to adorn myself in a way that makes me feel the way I want to feel, right? I'm walking into a corporate setting. How do I want to feel powerful and in my own authority, right? Maybe if you're going on a date, how do I want to feel sensual and delighted by my own, sense of connection with somebody, right? What do I want? How do I want to feel? And how can I support myself in that? And that inquiry is a deep relational inquiry. It's not a top down. It's not an authoritative bossing, what I call management model of relationship. Because that never works.
Well, Catherine, when Nina talks, do you have this experience that I have, which is like the words that she uses, like adore? I'm like, I don't think I've figured out the adore part yet, but I mean, the languaging that you're using is really inspirational when I think about just our community, and even in my own experience of just, I can say, shame my body, hate my body, be mad at my body, get pissed off at my body, but adore, like, these words, I think words have power. This is how I live my life with our, the work that we do. But adore, I just want to land on like, I'm going to ask myself, what would it look like to adore my body? How would it feel? Who do I need to be to adore my body? And all these, yeah. Anyway, thank you for the languaging there.
You're welcome. But Lisa, I want to say there's something funny. I love that you heard adore, because that is exactly, I actually said adorn. How do I want to adorn my
Adorn,
body?
and I heard adore?
And you heard adore. So doesn't that say something right there?
So adorn, meaning like, what might I put on, or how might I
put on that makes me, because we adorn things that we value.
Yeah.
Right? We adorn a Christmas tree. We adorn our windows with beautiful shades and blinds, right? We adorn our dining room table when we're having guests over. How do we want to adorn, which is truly adoring and appreciating our own body when we get dressed in the morning?
I love that.
And it's so important. And there's something I want to give me 1 second to find this, but there's here it is. There's a poem. So I love that you said language is so important, because it's one of the reasons that I started to write body peace poems, because we don't have words in our culture to create a supportive relationship. We have all the words for, I hate my body, I should be thinner, I should be this, I should get more fit, I should, I'm bad, I'm not enough. Fundamentally, those are the words, that's the vocabulary I learned that went with the relationship with our body. And
But
I didn't, sorry, go ahead, Catherine.
Oh, no, I just wanted to say, do you know naming it has given it a whole new life? You named something for me when we were chatting last week, which now makes perfect sense, but I never thought of it, that I was in body survival. And I most definitely have been. I've been, ill. I've had, surgeries. I've yada, 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 and of course that's what was going on. And as soon as we got there, it was as if the light went off and I could see so much of what had happened in that context. And it showed a path to the other side. It gave a pathway to moving beyond it.
Yeah.
Not-
When we have language, right? And that counts for the kind of relationship in our body, right? We're in body hate. Are we in body shame? Are we in body management, right? Or am I in body survival?
Yeah.
Is when we name it, then we're like, oh, this is where I am, right? Think about how GPSs work.
Yes.
I'm in Boston. I want to get to New York. What does the GPS do first? Find out where the heck you are. Oh, you're in Boston. And we're named. And now we know how to get where we're going. So if it's like, wow, I am really in body survival, that's my current reality. And Lisa, what you were in when you wrote that letter and on the drive was in body compassion. Oh, body, I am going to take care of you. And so to have words that open up this possibility. So there's a poem. So I write body peace poems. And the reason I started doing them was to really find words to explain this experience of being in a body in a positive way, and to claim and honor all that we've been. So there's a poem that I created, that I wrote, called I Need to Bathe in These Words, because I started talking to a client about how to talk to her body differently. And so if it's okay with you, I'd love to share it.
Oh, we'd love that. Right, Catherine?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
and while you're
called,
pulling it up, I want to invite
Yeah.
everyone to just settle in, because Nina's poems, like if you're driving and you might feel emotional, pull over. What Nina does is magical, and so I just want to give the listener, all of you with us, just a moment to
My
get
eyes
centered.
are going to be closed because I listen better that way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, a poem from Nina you want to lean into and get settle in, everyone. Okay, sorry, Nina. With that,
So thank you for that. So the poem is called I Need to Bathe in These Words. She said, I need to bathe in these words. They are new. They are unfamiliar. I don't yet know how to float and breathe and soak in these new words, words that remind me that my body is lovable as it is, that my body is worth caring for instead of controlling, that my body is not a personal flaw. I'm so saturated in my body is wrong, wrong shape, the wrong weight, the wrong cravings and desires. I've been swimming in shark-infested waters that attack my cellulite, my wrinkles, my belly, and my double chin. I've been wading in the murky end of the ponds, and the leeches are sucking my self-worth from me. I want to bathe in these new words of wholeness, enoughness, compassion. I need to hang out in the cool pool with the goddesses of every size, shape, and color. They nourish me. I need to bathe in these words. I need to absorb their wisdom into my cells. My body is worth caring for. I can find pleasure and joy in my body. My body is my sacred home. I'm imagining that if I bathe in these words, my body will flow instead of gasping in fear and regret. I need to bathe in these new words because they are healing waters. They are the truth.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
There's
Oh
a
my
couple. There's a couple
goodness.
of things here. I think you should see, Nina, if we can pull them up, Catherine.
Mhm.
Um, how does that before we? How does that run through you, Nina? Like, is that just client experiences, and you're like, oh, if I could just love all over this woman in a way that she was just showered, like,
Yeah.
I
So,
mean, what?
right. Usually, many of my poem titles are literally things clients have said, which
Wow.
is after we were talking, she said, oh my gosh, I need to bathe in these words.
Yeah.
Like, I
Wow.
don't know this.
Yeah.
So part of it is really sitting with clients for 30 years and hearing their stories. And part of it is my story, right? My relationship.
Mhm.
The first poem I think I ever wrote was, I've divorced my body 4 times. All the times where I'm like, that's it. I'm done.
Yeah.
I don't want anything to do with you. I'm so over it. I
Mhm.
can't. And where I distanced. And so my poetry is really what I see, what I hear, and what I experience, and also my desire for us to have different possibility, different words, different states, different ways of speaking and
Yeah.
creating, right? What we want, how we want to be in relationship.
I put your web address in the chat, so be
Thank
sure
you.
to pick up Nina's web address. She has a whole section on her poetry, which are just amazing, just amazing.
So
Yeah,
in
we'll put
that,
it in the show notes too, so
thank,
people. Yeah.
thank
Mhm.
you. There's also, Catherine, I gave you another link, which I think was the Body Peace Journal.
Yes.
And in that journal, there are 5 of my poems. I don't know that this one's in there though, but there are 5 poems. And with each poem, there's questions. There's 20 questions that bring you into an inquiry of what's the relationship in your body with your body? What's the relationship you have with food? How did it happen? Right? Like as though you were in therapy with you and your body, which is essentially what I do. And someone said, so how did you get to know each other this way? Like, how did all this start?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Can
for women with lipedema, it's a long journey because the diagnosis is like forever, if ever. Finally they've diagnosed them. That's why they're here. But there's such a journey of this, of how, wait, there's something going on, and everybody's just telling me, oh, lose weight.
move more too. Don't forget, Nina, because you should move more. Let's eat less and move more.
And
This
move
is what we're
more.
told, right?
I love that.
I know.
Like,
Yeah.
just like, let's just simplify all of life's problems.
Right.
Move more, eat less. I'm
Yeah.
like, come on.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Doreen has a comment in here. I think it would be this because this is an interactive heart to heart. If we can bring Doreen's comment up, Catherine, do you see it on there, or should I just read it? Here we go. Okay, she heard Adorn too. She used to prefer business casual. She would go to Talbot's Women and, with the assistance of a stylist, get assistants to adorn her body so she could fit in. Pardon the pun. Doreen, I love your humor. Now I've been retired, and Talbot's, Bloomingdale's, and other retailers have discontinued their women's departments. I feel discontinued and devalued them.
Mm-hmm.
Doreen, you were not alone with that one. Nina, thoughts, comments?
Yeah. First of all, it's true. Our culture is not size inclusive, right? We all know the totally wrongness of one size fits all. I'm like, whose size exactly? Right? So I want to honor and validate that feeling discontinued and devalued because they're saying you're not a big enough moneymaker for us, so goodbye, we don't value you.
Mhm.
Conversely, there are also some amazing clothing sellers online that are creating clothes to fit all bodies. One of my favorites is eShakti, and they make clothes for your body. For many people, it takes some tweaking because you do have to measure, then you send them your measurements, then something comes and it may not be exactly right. So you have to be very patient in the process. But once they get your measurements right, you're like, I'll take that in this color and that in this color and that in that color. And it's made for your body. And that is so important to acknowledge, like that normally we're having this war with clothing because it's not made for us. It used to be made for us. And then we had an industrial revolution.
Mhm.
And then suddenly everything was sized. And then came the diet culture on top of that said, oh, you're not one of those sizes? Something's wrong with you, right? And so you really want to look at if you're open in your closet and your closet is yelling at you, your closet is shaming you, time to put different things in that closet.
Mm.
And
You
you
know-
know, it's
You go, Catherine, you go.
there's a relationship with everything that we interact with and put on our bodies. It's not just our bodies. There's a relationship with my eyeglasses. There's a relationship with my sweater. Whatever it is, there's this relationship. There's a color, there's a look, there's a feel, there's a fabric. Everything is so much an expression.
Mm-hmm. An
Lisa,
expression
yes.
of ourselves.
Yes.
Yeah, you know what's funny? You guys are reminding me. So when I brought those clothes with me, so I've come a long way, as I think we're hearing, right? I used to just always wear black because I thought it was slimming. It's
Mhm.
not, black does not slim. Just in my world, I realized, oh, so I had my colors done a long time ago, and then I realized I need patterns and colors, and that's my personality. And but for whatever reason, I bought a black shirt for this trip, and I brought it. And I was on FaceTime with my husband before the meeting going, hey, good morning. How's our daughter? School, all these things. He's like, you're wearing black? I'm like, I know. Who am I? And after he said that, I checked in with myself and I took that shirt off and I put my green shirt on. And I felt so much better. And I'm so grateful that he knew that too. So he could say, what's going on? Why are you wearing black? Like, we know who you are. So I feel so blessed to have this relationship inside my home too, or I can get caught when I'm hiding or going back to something because I could tell that me putting on black meant I wasn't comfortable.
Yep.
And I needed to find a way to get comfortable. And so him seeing me was the start of that. But I'm like, what? I mean, I wear big jewelry, I wear big colors, and here I am like, so yes, even the fabric, even the color.
Totally. Yeah, I totally relate to the black thing. I wore black all the time because I lived in New York City for 10 years and it was cool and it was slimming.
Yeah.
That was, if you just wore black, then you'd be cool and you'd look skinny.
Yep.
Right? As though that's the goal. As though that's the goal of life.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't the goal of, you should look like you feel. You should be self-expressed. You should look like you've, taken time to be fully yourself in the day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No.
Yep. Yeah. So interesting. I want to give the audience a chance to ask Nina any questions because you're all here. I mean, there's so many hearts in here, Nina. So much love for you. So Daisy, Shauna, Delcy, Doreen, Truth Seeker, Anne Marie, Mary, Sherry. I mean, everyone's here. Nancy, Tina,
I think the
Karen.
thing, before someone even asks the question that I would want to answer for women is that our relationship to our body can change, right? And we don't have to change the size of our body to change the relationship with our body. And that when we change the relationship that we have with our body, how we feel towards our body, how we look at our body, how we talk to our body, that then actually changes the way that we, and Lisa illustrated it so beautifully, it changes the way that we can ally with our body. It changes the way that we support our body. It changes our actions. So when we're like, oh, well, if I could just do X, Y, and Z, then I would feel different. Then I would drop the X, Y, and Z. Let's focus on the how you feel about your body. And then what happens is we engage in our body in the most supportive way. Just like if you had a child who had some special needs, just like if you had a dog who had some special needs, you would proactively say, you know what, this is what my puppy needs. This is what my kid needs, right? Lisa, you did it with, this is what my body needs going into this situation.
Yeah.
And we do that by changing the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that is at the core.
Yeah.
And to say change the relationship, I'm gonna tweak that just a little bit, because what I'm
Please.
exploring is it's inviting the relationship. It's embracing the relationship that's there. And I mean, I treat people beautifully. If I could treat myself the way I treat others, it would be pretty damn good.
Yeah. And Catherine, you said something. You said it's embracing the relationship that's there. We have, like, that is so important to state, that we already have a relationship. It exists. It may be a really abusive relationship. It may be a relationship where we've felt neglected. It may be a relationship where we feel like we've been shamed all the time, but it is a relationship. And so to take that and to sink into, yes, I am having a relationship. And how can I support a more caring relationship? And one of the most powerful things we do in any relationship to support a more powerful relationship is listening.
Mm-hmm.
Right? When I teach and say, let's just talk about relationships, never mind body relationships. Tell me what you know is in a good relationship. What makes a great relationship in life with a partner? People are like, communication. It's always the first thing. And what happens in communication, what allows communication is listening. So to pause and be like, okay, I'm listening. That's the hello body practice. I am listening, right? Lisa, I keep coming back to your example because it's so right on, right? You were listening, like, I'm listening to anxiety, right? I don't know that. Oh, you're anxious. What are you anxious about? You're anxious about how much walking is this going to take? How much pain am I going to have to withstand? Because we all know pain equals lots of energy. It takes a huge amount of energy.
Yep.
Doing life with pain is like driving a car with a leaking tire all the time. It just takes a lot more work to move through life. So to listen and to be able to say, wow, I really heard my anxiety speaking for the amount of energy that would need to go out, and I advocated. And that allowed me to switch the relationship.
You know what's so interesting? So in my corporate work that I do, at RLD Group, we do a lot about burnout prevention. We help teams, change culture. We work on inclusion and belonging. We work on, dismantling bias. This is the work I do, right? But what you've just landed for me is something like I teach this every day. We call it tuning in. Are you below the line or above the line? Where are you in your relationship with your team? How are you navigating this change at work? Locate yourself. But Nina, I don't think I've ever shifted that into my own, my body experience. But your example today reminds me how many tools I already have. And that perhaps the reason I was able to write that email is because I have the tools, even though I didn't have the language around them to see the transition. But there's a simple way. It's just to tune in, pause, tune in, get curious.
Yes.
And the other thing I'm thinking about is I know that to be, we teach this in our burnout prevention workshop. If you're in curiosity, it's impossible to be reactive, right? So I'm thinking to myself, this translates so well in our world of lipedema, because if we're reacting to the pain, then we're not
Yes.
being curious. What if we go, oh, hello, pain. What are you trying to tell
Mhm.
me? Oh, right. And just if you can step into curiosity out of reaction, there's a fighting chance for innovation and resourcing yourself. And I teach this every day, but I didn't think about it in my own body. So I'm really grateful.
One of the lines that
Like right under your eyes, it's like right there.
Mhm.
one of the things that I've learned from you, Lisa, and I love it, is what might be possible if.
Yeah, right. Yeah. What might be possible? Or how might this be easy? What might, who can I count on? And sometimes the answer is yourself, right? So it's just I'm just so fascinated by this, because when you live with this day to day in your work, and you're applying it in your personal life, but you don't have language for it yet, um, I'm just so inspired. I'm just really inspired by the work that you do, Nina, and so
Mm.
grateful for our time today, especially after this trip I just had. For me personally, to connect these dots and almost solidify what you said was body allyship. Is that what you said I was playing? Was allyship? Yeah,
Mhm.
that's what I like playing there. It felt really loving.
It
Yeah,
is. That sense of allyship, of being on our own side, we so need it
yeah,
because we are really trained to be an adversary.
yep,
That's how our diet culture taught us.
Mhm.
You have to, like, no pain, no gain. Literally, that's what we were taught. I
yeah,
went to
for sure.
countless exercises. No pain, no gain. Push harder, try harder, more motivation, more willpower. It's all an adversarial relationship. It's an
Mhm.
aggressive relationship. And frankly, I don't want to be in an aggressive relationship. It doesn't
Yeah.
let me flourish.
Yeah, isn't that the whole point of it all? What boy, am I glad we had this conversation. Catherine, thank you for bringing Nina in again, because of part 2, so I could play, because I know last week I wasn't here, but maybe I was doing field work, everyone, and I brought the field work back in.
You certainly did.
So we're overtime like we usually are, but
Mhm.
Lisa, can you sort of wrap up and whatever you can with Nina and perhaps next steps?
Yeah, so I think a couple of things that I know for sure. If you are listening to the replay, in the show notes, we're going to have Nina's websites. If you're here live, we've dropped them for you. So please go check out Nina. It's ninamanolson.com, NinaManolson.com. I think the other thing that's highlighting for me is the journal you mentioned, Nina, where there are some poems. That might be a great first step for people, just to dance with themselves a bit, to just play in the possibility of how that poem might awaken something for them. And the last thing I was thinking about with all the comments here is that, you know, when you think about wrapping us up, Nina, 1, 2, or 3 sentences, when you're meeting people where they are, what is something we can leave the audience with to either reflect on or tap into and just settle in with in this conversation today? How would you like them to, what
Yeah.
what can we leave them with to be of love and support, so they can be resourced as we end our show?
I'm going to echo back something you said that speaks to linking the two, right?
Okay.
You talked about tuning in,
Mm,
and that is that sense of curiosity of self. And to really come back to putting your hand on your heart, tuning in, hello, body, and being in the listening. Start the relationship. Start the relationship not from a place of that sense of, oh, I shoulda, I coulda, I didn't, I feel ashamed, I'm blaming myself, but from that place of curiosity, from that place of connection, from that place of wanting to know, because what it does is opens the door for compassion.
mhm. I love that. Well, Nina, thank you for bringing your heart, your lived experience, your tools, your storytelling techniques, so that we can actually tap into this instead of just, this is the teaching moment. No, we're going to walk you through it. And Catherine, I'm so grateful to be on this journey with you and doing these heart to hearts together. There's such magic here, and you always bring such a wealth of knowledge, information, and heart, and you always connect us with such great, amazing resources. So, Catherine, thank you for having this heart-to-heart. Nina, thank you for being our guest today. For those of you live,
you.
please like, subscribe, share this for sure. The replay will be up momentarily, and when it's out in the podcast land, we'll let you know. But take good care of yourself. Take good care of yourself. You are amazing. Thank you,
Yep.
everyone.
Thank you
Thank you.
so much, Nina.